Welcome to the Growler, a Who Dey podcast hosted by Paul Dana and other bald friends like Mo Egger, Dave Nimitz, home of all your Bengals breaks, takes. Welcome to the Growler.
Yes, welcome into the latest edition of Balds Don't Lie. Paul Dana Jr. of The Athletic, here with my good friend, buddy, and pal, fellow bald Dave Nimitz. What's up, Dave?
Not much. How are you? It's good to be back on here. I'm more periodic on here now, so I got to catch up on my 80s music or movie and music references. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm at a loss when I don't have this show. So hopefully
you're a natural. Natural. Look, it's riding a bike. Next thing you know, you show up and it's dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. It just happens so quick. You never know when it's going to pop off. Well, it's good. It's good to have you back. Do we have to drop into the music like periodically, Dave? Like, maybe we have to.
I think the music obligates me to at least show up every now and then. Like, you go commission this amazing song and then my name's in it. So I don't know that we could always go back, though, to our old way of just having somebody use their telephone answering machine name. Just plug that in there.
Oh, I do miss the answering machine name. Yeah, that was
strong.
That was a good gag. I do appreciate that. But we're real and legit now. We don't need answering machines. We have real stuff. Speaking of real stuff, I want to remind everybody we have our real live show going on tomorrow, as we record this, Thursday. Before the Bengals Colts game down at BetMGM Sportsbook, Nation Kitchen and Bar at the Banks, right across from Great American Ballpark. Incidentally, has a Green Day and Smashing Pumpkins concert going on tomorrow, so it is going to be hopping down there. We'll be down there taking questions from you guys if you have any when we're talking Bengals, but we're also going to be just kind of having a little bit of a party. $3 Cincy Lights, $6 Queen City Nacho trays, free graders. Like it's going to be a nice day. Come have some graders. We're going to be giving away all kinds of stuff. We're going to be doing trivia. So Green Day, Smashing Pumpkins, Bengals crossover trivia. That's right. We're working hard to come up with these questions. And if you can answer, you can win some of our giveaways, whether it be gift cards, swag, free bets, a bet on the Bengals to win the Super Bowl potentially, if you're strong enough to bet on them to do that. So I say, come on down, ride the streetcar, right? You get off right there, ask a question, get free graders, win a giveaway, $3 beer. Go about your day. I mean, I just think I just really made something nice happen for you.
You had me at free graders. Like, if there's free graders, there's no real other reason why anyone shouldn't be there. Like, graders is the best. I'm obsessed with the key lime pie right now. Have you had that?
Yeah. So I've had the key lime pie. The key lime pie is very, very strong, but seasonal. You got to get it while you can.
Exactly.
Because it goes away.
I know.
That's how they get you. But hey, you know what? And maybe someone will show up at the live show and be, dare I say, graders worthy. Where the pack shows up at your front door. We send it to you if we decide that you're graders worthy. So maybe that could happen to you too if you show up down at our show. So come on down. We'd love to see you there. Mo is going to join here in a little bit. And we had the joint practice with the Colts yesterday, Bengals Colts joint practice down there at the practice fields. Jay and I have our sort of review of that up on the YouTube channel. So maybe you've already seen it. If you haven't, and you're an old like me and Dave, and you prefer just to listen to it while you're doing stuff rather than having to go on the YouTubes, well, it is tacked on to the back of this episode. So you can listen to that. Jay and I wrapping up what happened down at the practice fields on Tuesday. But this is our defense show, Dave. We're focusing on defense. We are going to get into kind of all things Bengals defense. They've been forgotten.
Did you know the best offense is a good defense? I don't know if you've ever heard that.
I've heard they win championships.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good things that a defense does.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like we spend so much time talking about Burrow and his glove and Jamar Chase and his hat and T.
Mm.
Higgins and his tag that we spend all of this time and Andre Yosevach and all of this time we spend on the offense and who's going to play more, Zach Moss or Chase Brown, and nobody's talking about what you'll hear Jay reference a bunch in the joint practice review. What I think has quietly been the story of camp, and that has been this sort of revitalized defense, winning a lot. And they did so again yesterday against the Colts. And they appear to be kind of that salty, all those good defensive S words that people like type of unit that they were before. Now, will that play out? Who the hell knows? But they do seem to be a little bit better constructed, and there's a lot to kind of dive into there. So I want to make sure they get their time. I want to make sure we give them the space to really explore what could end up being a pretty big storyline.
Yeah, I think, and you'll get into this, but the thing I think concerns people the most is not having DJ Reader around anymore, and then we've got Dax Hill and how he makes his transition into a new role. It seems like I'm hearing more and more positive from you and everybody else on that lately. So those can be the things we touch on here today. But yeah, the Reader thing, I think probably worries people the most. So it'll be good to delve into that some.
Yeah, let's kind of start. So there's a few people I've been, teaser alert. I've been kind of doing this story on what has become the talk of the defensive side of the ball, and what sounds like kind of it's something that we've talked about a lot and that Lou has talked about a lot, even going all the way back to the combine and the fall from last season, was all the communication breakdown and the safeties and the role of that. And I kind of fun to say and that, oh yeah, the communication's better, but doesn't everybody talk? Doesn't everybody kind of do these things, isn't it? Well, I wanted to understand better why there's so much belief in that being such a big factor, specifically coming from the safety position. So I, just kind of going around, you find different things. Logan Wilson, Vonn Bell. I talked to Anarumo, Jordan Kovac's safeties coach, some of the defensive linemen, about how it even affects them. How can it fix the run game? It seems like something that's hard to put together. Well, there's a lot of interesting stuff there. I want to start by bringing you a couple of clips, and that means doing what a lot of people that watched the Bengals last year don't want to do, and that's think about last year's defense again. And here's Logan Wilson on some of how the communication breakdowns were taken on from a linebacker's perspective last year.
Played with him so long, what he brings that way. What's like a good example of his presence making a difference, like out there? Like what's if I'm trying to explain to people why this is that he changes so many things for you guys, that for you specifically? Like,
for us specifically,
yeah.
Like, I've always said we're like trying to be forward thinkers. I mean, like if we're in this call and it goes to empty, like what are we getting to? And so when it's going to empty, like he's getting the coverage adjustment now. So is Gino.
Yeah.
We're both getting the coverage adjustment now, and in turn it lets us, if we have to, based on what we're in, adjust the D-line.
Yeah.
Whereas like at times last year, like we were having to do that coverage adjustment.
Would you have to
adjust?
Would you have to turn around and tell them, and then come back and do the D-line? But so now it feeds back to front.
You hear it. You have to look. You're like, Yep, hear it. Yep, good.
Yeah.
And so that's just one less thing off our plates, and
that's huge pre-snap, right? I mean, when you're talking about seconds between snap, call, snap, adjustment.
Like last year, some guys they wouldn't say anything.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, what are we doing?
And you don't even. And the play starts, and you don't know where you're going.
It doesn't matter if we're not in the correct adjustment. Just everyone be on the same page.
Be in an adjustment, as long as we're all doing something.
And we're all on the same page. Because if you're not on the same page, like that kills you.
Yeah.
Like then you get someone dropping when they're not supposed to, and then there's a big seam somewhere, and we play these elite quarterbacks, like they're gonna find those guys.
Yeah, there's a big seam somewhere. Seen that. Saw that a lot. Yeah. You hear Logan Wilson talking about turning around and not knowing what you're in. And that's An interesting thing, Dave, that happened across the league this offseason was all of these veteran safeties being available and moving teams. And, from a Bengals perspective, watching that team last year, it was weird to see so many veterans out there and available. Vonn Bell, which Logan was talking specifically about, there being eventually being among them, because we saw that value, that understanding, anticipating what can come next, and where that value lives when you try to get younger and faster, and those instincts aren't there. And they ended up in a place where a new system, the guys just weren't confident in what they were saying, weren't loud enough in what they were saying, didn't always know what they were saying. And that showed up in such a big way. And just cutting out the explosives can make a big difference. I just think the value of the veteran safety was a really interesting thing to watch this offseason, because it's something that the Bengals have leaned heavy back into and saw the error in their ways last year. And every single person that you talk to, corner, linebacker, defensive line, coaches, says that really can make all the difference, because you're not doing what you heard Logan Wilson talking about there, and not knowing what, not having all 11 working together.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, Justin Simmons just signed, it's crazy. These veterans were out there. Anarumo had to be doing backflips when he saw Vonn Bell was going to be available again. Right now, though, I'd like to think Nick Scott's going to listen to that, and just one tear is going to go down his cheek that Logan Wilson just didn't have faith in him. But I'll ask you a question. Like, when you look back to when they were really hitting on all cylinders, when they had Bell and Bates, was it more Bell then, do you think, who was kind of directing from the back, or was it more Bates? Are they getting the guy back that was more the communicator back there than the other, or were they about the same when they were both here?
Well, I think Vonn was always really elite communicator. Like now, Jesse was really, they as a combo were great, but I think Vonn was always kind of the voice.
Yeah.
And Jesse was the fireman. Jesse put everything out. Jesse did stuff on the fly. They worked incredibly together. I think they feel like they can have Jesse Light in Geno Stone. I mean, I think they feel like they've seen that now in camp and in these joint practices. That level, it takes a while to build all the way up to where Vonn and Jesse were. But Lou, talking to him, I feel like there's a lot of confidence in what Geno is going to be able to bring, that he's not going to be the concern of the system safety, I guess. That intelligence they saw from him in Baltimore, and the way he is really what separated him, and why he goes from being, a nothing draft pick to and cut and move teams, and to being showing he's a real guy, because he really has that savvy and intelligence to go out there and know how to make plays and what he's supposed to be doing, and the value in making sure everybody knows they're supposed to be doing is good. I mean, that was really they were the sum of their parts. They were at their best. It was because they didn't have stars everywhere, and they had some, but it was because they were so cohesive, and they had a lot of smart players all kind of working together. And I think they feel like they sort of they cut their vertebrae off a little bit last year. And that's I guess it maybe is an insult to Dax and Nick Scott and Jordan Battle. They were just young and in new systems and starting there for the first time. And none of that instinct that existed before was there now. And now I think that being fixed, you've seen that play out now over this last month. It's been apparent and it has been talked about. I mean, Dan Pitcher was like, man, you just feel it when you're trying to make plays. They're always where you want to be, and they always see it coming. And so that's been such a big deal. I want to go to the next one here and talk about the question that a lot of people have is going to be about the run defense, and can this run defense hold up after losing Reader and everything that went on last year? The idea of the communication in the back end playing a role in that is interesting. So this is Vonn Bell with a little bit more on sort of the communication before play, during play, how that plays out, how that specifically works, and anticipating things and seeing it. And also from the run defense side. So here's Vonn Bell.
How help me out specifically, because I tell everybody that look, the communication is going to be better, and that can fix a ton of things.
Yeah.
What's a specific way that literally the communication, you see it work, and how do you relay that on a given play, whether it's a complicated one or even a standard one?
Just seeing the formation, right?
Yeah.
Seeing the situation. So, say for instance, they get explosive. I don't care how it happens. It could be a sudden change. They got momentum.
Yeah.
They might take a shot.
Right.
I'm already thinking what
you're anticipating it. Yeah.
So it's boom. I'm already relaying the message, and it's gonna play out how it's gonna play out.
Yeah.
And we always pre-snap communicating with Jermaine or Logan, then post-snap is with the safeties.
Yeah.
Or the corners.
Yeah.
So it's it's a give and hand thing, an exchange that's going on throughout the play.
Now the pre-snap with a corner, is that
it's
more,
boom.
Is that more about formational scheme stuff, or is that more about stuff you're looking out for?
Formation and scheme.
Yeah.
So formation could be in the situation. Okay, I seen this on film. They do this on first and second down or third down. Get ready for this.
Yeah.
Call wise, they might know where we in because they studied the coordinators. Boom, we should think about beaters.
Yeah. Right, yeah, and be ready for it. And you know what they are already.
Right.
You know the weakness
exactly
in the defense are calling, so you're looking at
Boom.
if it's a team that's been able to exploit it, you're looking for that. How can safety communication help run defense? That's not something that I think I had a hard time getting a grasp on, but I hear that a lot.
Okay, that could go with the linebackers. If I'm talking to G, I'll be like, leave one for me.
Leave one for you.
Yeah, or if it's a certain call,
yeah.
a gap for me, you got me in the fit, and I could be showing Shell or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, and that's just it. Did you go watch these guys film last year?
Ooh, these guys? Yeah, I watched them.
Like when you came back here, okay, let's see here's what happened while you were gone. Did you and Lou sit down and go through the whole year together?
32nd in defense.
Yeah.
And I finished top 5.
Right. I was going to say.
Go look at it.
I know. They love you there.
Yeah. It's just business-wise.
It's a business.
It's a business. But
hey, no.
I told her, I said, I'll be top 5 if I don't.
Yeah. That's it, though. But it's if you take the explosives out of last year, the ones that maybe communication can help, you end up, instead of 32nd, you're 10th.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy. I thought there was a lot of great nuance there from Vonn in the specifics of how that plays out. And you see that, you hear that next level of it's not even about scheme or formation. It's situational in a game. It's I know from playing this game for as long as I have, when a team might take a shot. I've studied enough, to know when they might try to, and I know that they are really good at studying us. So I'm going to look for the beaters where the play that they're going to run to beat this defense, because I know the weakness in the defense. It's the adjustment to the adjustment to the adjustment stuff that people get when you get really deep in the weeds. But that's where they live. That's why when they talk about quarterback of the defense and you see Peyton Manning talking about how Ed Reed gave him fits because he was always the one step ahead. That's the type of stuff that Lou's defense is really reliant on. Because they try to be advanced and sophisticated and versatile and a little more complicated. That type of stuff that you just heard Vonn talking about is critical. And I don't know, you have the truth serum people, but what percentage of the stuff Vonn was just talking about was actually happening last year? Not a big number. And that just makes so much of a difference.
Yeah. Well, and to hear him talk, I mean, you can tell he's a guy that when he's out there, he can process it. That seems like part of it. I think you get young safeties back there and they're maybe not going to be able to look at it, recognize it, and process it that quickly. He's a veteran, it's just that having that experience, and he's always had a nose for the ball and everything. But the way he explains that, and even letting Jermaine Pratt know, give me a gap. If he can see that instantly, it makes everything work better. And then back to Wilson, I mean, you can kind of hear it in his voice that it just gives him the confidence to do his job. If you're trying to do too much and you're figuring out what's going on behind you and in front of you, can you just go get to the ball and do what you need to do? So I can see where the domino effect would be when you got a guy back there you can be confident in that knows what he's doing.
Yeah. The one line you hear a lot from people, and this is kind of a football cliche, is if everyone's wrong, everyone's right. It doesn't matter even if the call's wrong. As long as everybody is doing the same thing, it doesn't have to be perfect all the time. They just have to be doing the same thing because that helps cover it up at such a degree, But how about, hey, they were 32nd in defense last year. I was 5th. All right, top 5, baby.
Yeah.
He's not wrong. Not wrong.
No.
Carolina was a really good defense last year, despite being 2-15, and they weren't giving up a bunch of explosives. They weren't giving up a bunch of yards. They were a group that was pretty stingy and always seemed to be a step ahead of the offense. And a lot of that does go back to the safeties. They moved on from Vonn because they wanted to do a reunion in their safety room there, but they liked Vonn. They didn't anticipate that. They didn't anticipate all the safeties being available, and it allowed that move to happen.
Yeah.
I find it really fascinating, that type of stuff. And I talked to Lou Anarumo about the run game thing and sort of, the concept of replacing Reader and what that looks like. And, his view was a lot of that, like so much of what happened last year was something sneaking out the backside or going around the out. And you didn't have the extra, the safety that was in the right place to push it a little bit more towards the inside, be that extra, that stuff. It is all love and it does show up. It's not just, hey, your line is getting moved. That happened a lot. And that's something that they're going to have issue with this year that they need to figure out. But I think their hope and what they feel like they've seen is that a lot of that confidence that everybody is playing with can go a long way to fixing, the gaps on the outside and things like that. And that can make all the difference. And now, will it? I don't know. Because they still got moved a lot. They still are missing DJ Reader and all of that stuff. And it's hard to say specifically.
Well, one side note to the safeties, anyone watching the preseason game against the Bears, they talked to Vonn on the sideline late in the game and asked him about Geno Stone, and he was effusive. Like he had nothing but good things to say. He said they're buddies off the field. So that gives you confidence too, that when he's endorsing the new guy, you got to feel pretty good about it. Obviously, if he had approached that conversation differently and hesitated on his answers, you might not feel as good. But it seems like they've patched up a definite problem from last year, and then maybe the result of it also is if Dax Hill works out at corner, you've kind of answered another problem. So right now, like you said, it looks good right now. But when we get to week 1, we'll see if it all translates into real action.
Love the idea of Vonn Bell doing that interview and be like, have we benched him yet? It is annoying me. I can't even talk to this guy. Like he's a jerk off the field. He's been like, hitting on my girlfriend. I want him to go all the way and be like, this is the worst signing we've ever made. I've never had a worse teammate.
I mean, that's when people ask me about you, that's pretty much my answer. It's negative. It's hostile. It's not good. Hostile. Yeah.
It's like, look, I've been trying to find ways to get rid of this guy for years, and he keeps latching on to me like a leech.
I mean, we should probably just be happy they didn't talk about Caleb Williams' pass during that interview, since that's all anybody could talk about, which was awesome. But I've heard enough about it. Yeah,
heard enough. Yeah. I thought the takeaway from that was going to be the quarter and a half of ineptitude from the Bears offense that occurred, but apparently no. One pass and Mahomes is here.
Yeah,
the QB god. Love it. Hey, it's so funny. It's so funny to watch the national perspective drop in on this stuff. But that's neither here nor there. I did watch the Hard Knocks.
I was going to say
it
gave Hard Knocks some serious gold for Liev Schreiber to work with.
Shout out to our John Greenberg, who wrote a story that was strictly only Liev Schreiber lines, using the puns and different twist of words that he does, which was just fantastic. Highly recommend if you have time and have ever watched a single episode of Hard Knocks.
Is there,
to go give
is there
better
any more
inspired.
impressive production than Hard Knocks? Like the turnaround they do on that and what the quality. I mean, it's probably the Growler and Hard Knocks are like the two that the production value is through the roof.
That's it. That's it. That's all you got. That's who we are. Yeah. Well, there was a scene in the first one where they do this usually once a year where it's like a practice music montage, and they did some Chicago blues, like a
Yeah.
live that they had recorded. God damn. I was like, are you guys just going like, we need to make sure we have one Emmy winning segment here? Like, let's just did you spend the whole week? It's just a team of people working on this 1 4-minute music. It was just every single thing was slick and unique and like twisting back and forth. Like, man, this is elite production.
And Caleb coming into the Alan Parsons Project Bulls music was pretty phenomenal as well. Like they're just so good. They're just so good.
No, I absolutely loved it. Well, I guess real quick, let's I want to bring Lou Anarumo talking about Dax Hill. You mentioned this. You'll hear Jay and I talk about this later on, but Lou and Dax it's been an interesting thing to watch because it was like, okay, hopeful, and now you've seen it, and now he's just been the starter, and after the way he's played this week, really any opportunity he's had in the preseason game was so good. He was made the starter at that point. Then Monday he's making plays and basically going out and shutting down Joe Burrow's 2 drives. He has just been remarkable, and I think you can sit here and say pretty clearly it's over. Like, I think it's over. I don't even will he play Thursday? I don't know that he needs to. I think they've seen enough. Cornerback 2. And for that to be the development, it just makes everything seem to fall into place better for them defensively when that happened. Here's Lou Anarumo on where Dax Hill is at.
Dax is really taken to it, knock on wood there, but I mean, it seems like he's just making more and more plays and feeling more and more comfortable every day.
I think so. It's still a work in progress. You know, it's one of the hardest positions on the field, and he's going to get tested a lot because it's the unknown for opponents. So, they're going to see what he can do, but he's done a great job, and his arrow is definitely up.
I say, have there been some examples in the last even week or two where you see like, man, that's a play that he wasn't making even day 4 or 5?
I just think it's more about his awareness, his leverage, where his help is, some things like that. His athletic skill has always been there. It's just about, all right, where do I need to be on this play, and how do I need to play the receiver, as opposed to, everything is not just zero coverage. I got this guy with no help. That's not how we play. So I think he's getting a better feel for the big picture of it.
Can you develop instincts because it's a new position? Obviously, they have to be learned at some point, and he's got some experience there. Can you develop those sort of natural cornerback, last-second bat the ball down type stuff that kind of can be a big difference?
Yeah, I think some guys are born with that. Some guys are natural, go get the ball kind of guys. Some guys are not interceptors, but knock the ball down type guys. I think the more comfortable you get, the more you can become an interceptor. He's got good hands. So, just that part of it takes a little bit of time.
There's Lou Anarumo on Dax Hill. It's still a process, but he's far enough along in the process that you feel really good about, I think, him going out there. But you can still hear the weariness in Lou's voice.
Yeah.
Like, man, it looks good. I'm gonna knock on wood here, but man, they're gonna test him, and I don't know if he's got the instincts yet. But man, everything has looked good so far, and so you got to kind of go out there and trust your gut and go with it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see out of the gate, because he's right that teams are going to game plan for going after him. You got to think Cam Taylor-Britt is now emerging around the league with the reputation of being a lockdown guy. So we'll see. He's going to have a test from Mahomes early in the season, and that'll be the real test right there. But if it works out, wow, what a salvaging of a first round pick if if this pans out to working for him and for the team.
Yeah, and I was sort of asked a question about the Dax Hill process, that they wasted him for 2 years, and I'm going to get into this with Mo a little bit, so I'll have to kick you out, Dave, because you're done. I'm done with you. All right, it's over.
I
It's over
understand.
for us. You will be back periodically.
We do not
decide.
have a Geno Stone Vonn Bell relationship.
We do not.
No.
Absolutely not. No, it's you're my Nick Scott. Sorry. I appreciate it, Dave. Good to see you, buddy. Have a good one. Bye. The teardrop.
All right.
Bye, buddy. Now we bring my Geno Stone, Mo Egger.
Wow.
Yeah.
You compare me to Nick Scott, we're gonna have issues. I mean, I am not Geno Stone, but I'm not Nick Scott either. So poor Dave has to wear that for a while. That's rough.
I would say you're Jordan Battle, but you're not young.
No, most definitely not.
Well, thanks for joining us. We've kind of been discussing this defense because at some point you got to. We spend so much time on everything else. I was kind of talking about this with Dave opening the show, is that it feels forgotten. And I think quietly, this defense has been the storyline of camp because it has looked very much like its old self. So we've now heard from Vonn Bell and Logan Wilson and Anarumo talking about the communication factor and how much of a difference that really can logistically actually make. And I think that's probably the root of where a lot of the improvement comes from, but there's a lot of other stuff that's at play and a lot of stuff to be concerned about with this defense. So Mo, what I wanted to do today is run through four different little mini topics here that we're going to put in some predictions for. We can revisit these. Are you comfortable revisiting these later?
Of course.
As long as they're good.
Yeah,
as long as we're proven correct.
Absolutely. Because you know what nobody ever does is remind you of the stuff you got wrong. So I'm glad you're going to do that. We need more of that. We need more. Hey, here's some stuff you got wrong, because there's not nearly enough of that. So I'm glad we're doing this.
I try to do that to everyone in my life. All of my friends and family is just be a constant reminder of their failures. You know, that's what I want to be reflective of.
I just look in the mirror. I don't need anybody to remind me.
All right. Let's start with this one. How about optimistic take? Because let's be happy, right? It's the season of optimism. Okay, this is the time. Optimistic take about this defense that you are most confident in.
That they are going to finish nowhere near the bottom of the league in explosive plays given up, which is what they were last year. That they might be league average. They might not be anywhere close to the best defense in the league when it comes to explosive plays given up, but they're not going to finish anywhere close to the bottom. I think primarily because of what they have in the secondary at safety, right? I think we are so confident in watching Geno Stone's continued ascension, a player who in Baltimore, every time they gave him more to do, he succeeded. The return of Vonn Bell, everybody has talked extensively about the communication. And while there's, still a lot of, hey, let's go see it, prove it at corner, it feels like a really good, healthy battle was waged at the one spot. And boy, there's a lot of optimism for Cam Taylor-Britt. Obviously, a lot more goes into stopping explosive plays than just great secondary play. But it feels like with a good coordinator, and I think we all agree that Lou's a good coordinator, some really good pieces brought in, and a lot of upside with the youth they have in the secondary. I expect that to be dramatically better. And there's a lot of areas where this defense has to be better, but the one that matters most to me is improving significantly in an area where they were terrible last year. And I feel pretty confident that that's going to happen.
That's actually basically what I had. I was willing to drop in an overly optimistic top 10 in explosive play rate allowed.
Yeah.
That's probably a little far, but I do too. I just think the fact that it has been the total emphasis of the entire offseason
Yeah.
And you go back and you look historically, and I've done this at teams that finished one year in the bottom 3 or 4 in explosive play rate, and how easily were they able to fix it? Is it a chronic problem? And it's hard to do. Like the majority still end up in that bottom quarter. But it's not impossible. It's not some like statistical thing that just no one ever does it, right? It happens. And usually it happens because of new personnel. The Jets are an example. They were at the bottom, and then they had Sauce Gardner and a couple other pieces showed up, and all of a sudden they were at the top. And so if so much of it is obviously going to end up being contingent on this safety change working, the reversion and the insertion of Geno Stone, and we spend a lot of time talking about that. But I do think that's it. I'll give us a different one though. I had a number 2 on my list.
Okay.
That may be kind of giving away some of my future answers here, but I'm going to say that Cam Taylor-Britt makes the Pro Bowl. I think he's going to have a year. I think he was having a year last year. It was disjointed. He was playing really well despite a lot of chaos happening around him. He's been an arrow up in the right direction the whole time. And I think he stays healthy. I think he becomes a legit number 1. And one thing that we saw from him last year as he started to really figure things out was he got picks. And if you get picks, you get Pro Bowl votes. And I think if this defense can turn it around and they win a lot of games and they're playing from ahead and there's a lot more poor quarterbacks on their schedule this year, Cam Taylor-Britt could get a bunch of picks, and that could mean a Pro Bowl for him and be a first-time Pro Bowl. I think that's in play. That's my maybe overly optimistic, but that's I'm pretty confident that I think Cam Taylor-Britt is going to have a really nice year.
Yeah, I think if we were to do like the whole, breakout guy in the defense, I think most of us would start with Cam Taylor-Britt. There are others. I mean, Miles Murphy is hopefully okay and primed for a really big second season. But like Cam seems to be the guy that you would most likely peg as the player who just explodes, because he's going to get opportunities. He's going to get picks with his ball skills. And it feels like things have really been going in that direction for a while. I mean, he's the number 1 corner. So yeah, that's totally plausible. I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah. That's number 1. Let's go one defensive statistical prediction for the year.
Well, it sort of it ties hand in hand with something that I'm having a hard time getting past. I think this team's going to be bad against the run. I don't think that's been solved. Now, specifically what that looks like yards per carry or what that looks like in advanced metrics or DVOA, I don't know. I don't think that's really been fixed. I don't think it's come close to being fixed. And I think everybody's kind of okay with it, right? I mean, even when they brought in Sheldon Rankins, the reaction was, this guy can really get after the quarterback. Yeah, we know his run grade against the run was poor, fine, right? We want to get after the quarterback. We want to stop explosive plays. We want to be better against the run, specifically in this division. But it just, I don't know. I mean, is the addition of Chris Jenkins and what they've done in the draft up front going to be good enough? Is the linebacker play from basically the same 2 dudes, is that going to improve significantly enough? I think when we look at the defense at the end of the year, we're going to be really happy with so many areas where they improved, and maybe even be okay with the fact that they're not great against the run, but we're going to look at that and go, man, that didn't get better. And maybe even in some respects got worse. I don't think this unit's going to be, I mean, look, they had DJ Reader last year and we spent all season talking about how bad they were against the run. DJ Reader's not here anymore. A lot of the same guys are. And then, the big free agent they brought in to play up front on defense isn't good against the run. So how are they going to go from bad against the run to good against the run? It doesn't compute. So again, statistically, what that looks like, I don't know, but it's going to be a problem. How much of a problem? That's a good discussion, but I think it's going to be a problem.
And I'll dive in on that discussion, because I think that they're going to be in the bottom quarter of the league in yards allowed per carry, and that's kind of the statistic that I latch onto. The question is, does that really matter?
Yeah,
this is a league where the teams that play at the end are the teams that throw the ball efficiently and run average, like rushing yards, great running games, great running backs.
Yeah.
Rarely are the teams still around at the end of the year. Can you rush and cover, right? Like
Mhm.
rush and cover. It's the analytical page one. You
Yeah.
go over, it's rush and cover, man. It's you need dudes that can get to the quarterback and corners that can cover. It doesn't even matter if your corner can tackle. That's kind of the idea, is that when you look at what is winning and losing games, is the AFC North different?
Mhm. Sure.
If you ever thought that maybe the AFC North is different, all you got to do is watch all the Bengals divisional games last year when they just got run over on repeat. And
Mhm.
I think so much of it will come back to something that we talked about, that was really the Bengals had a very obvious way when Burrow was healthy of how they won games. They had to play from ahead. They had to get ahead, play from ahead, and they were built for that. They were built to win and put people away, and their defense was, because the other team wasn't running on them as much, and they could kind of have some success that way. I think that will probably be the case again this year. I also think that they'll probably play from ahead a lot
Yeah.
because of what they have going on offensively.
Yeah, and you and I have talked about this a lot in the past. The overall defensive philosophy has often been yards, not points. Right? We'll give you yards. We're not going to give up points. So where do the yards come from? They more likely than not, if there's going to be a heavy emphasis on, and I'm very dramatically oversimplifying this, but if there's going to be a heavy emphasis on being better in the red zone and not getting beat over the top, well, okay, we'll give the offense. We'll give them 4.5 a lug. Right? We'll let them move the ball on the ground. And again, like anecdotally, I'm sure there are going to be moments where it's like, all right, is Derrick Henry going to run over him? Is Nick Chubb going to run wild? I mean, what's Lamar Jackson going to do with his legs? And it's going to be frustrating, but it's. I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. They have to fix a lot of stuff on defense. Of all the stuff I want them to fix, like it's like if you take a car in. And all right, I need you to fix the brakes. Okay, I need you to fix that. I need you to fix the engine. Okay. Would you like for us to fix the radio too? Yeah, that'd be cool, but I mean, I don't know. You really need to fix the other stuff, and it's not the best analogy. It's early, but
Radio
like,
first, right, Mo?
yeah, radio first, of course.
Make
What
sure
am I
ESPN
doing?
1530 comes in clear.
Bosses will love that, but yeah, I mean. Do we want him to be better against the run? Of course. Will there be moments this year where you're frustrated by the fact that maybe they're getting run over a little bit too much? Absolutely. Is the overall improvement on the defense, is it still possible without the run defense being great? Yeah. So and look, I think they sort of tipped their hand that they're kind of okay. They're kind of okay with, like, yeah, we want to be better, but it's not the biggest priority. The biggest priority was getting better on the back end. Biggest priority, obviously with drafting Miles Murphy, and they want a better pass rush. They want to get after the quarterback better. They would like a better run defense, but I just didn't get the sense it was a huge priority for them. And I think because of how the team is built and what the offense can do and how loose defenses typically play, generally speaking, as we look at the season from a 30,000-foot view, that's okay.
Yeah, and we'll see how this all plays out. But I do think it's the storyline that you are watching closest,
Mhm.
and that is, how ugly is that going to be? But I also look at their schedule,
Yeah.
and there's just a lot of offenses that are not super impressive
Yeah.
on that schedule, and I think that there's a chance to really take advantage of those. That's why I think that they have a chance, to equal what we saw in 2015, when they had 21 picks
Mhm.
and just were turning people over. If you're going to see Jacoby Brissett and Bryce Young and, go down the list of their schedule and look at some of the quarterbacks, whatever's going to happen in Pittsburgh twice, you look at a lot of opportunities that, weren't there last year. Last year, they were just facing real dudes every week.
Mhm.
And I think it opens up a little bit more for them to get more turnovers, to have more interceptions. I think they've got the guys that are capable of doing that and can be sort of their calling card again, which that's what it has been under Lou Anarumo since he's gotten here, and that is how you offset. That's how you offset, some of the run game stuff that maybe puts you in some bad situations.
Yeah, I mean, even as bad, I keep coming back to this, as bad as the run defense was last year, and as bad as their overall defensive performance was, when I think of all the things that crept up last year, all the things that doomed that defense, as bad as the run defense was, that's not the first thing to come to mind. It isn't. I mean, again, as I was watching Derrick Henry run against him, okay, it'd be kind of cool if they could tackle him. But when I look at the season as a whole, and I think of the pass rush, nobody beyond Trey Hendrickson consistently getting to the quarterback. When I think of how bad they were at stopping explosive plays, how poor the safety play was, which those two things go hand in hand with each other. The missed tackles, and part of that is obviously run defense, but how last year's Lou Anarumo defense was so uncharacteristic based on what we had seen really since he got here. And this is something I've brought up to you, that I felt like over the first few years, you never saw assignment errors, and you never saw guys out of place. And then consequently, you never saw a lot of missed tackles. They might not have had the most star power, but you saw a really coached, well put together, fundamentally sound defense. Guys not trying to do too much, guys not out of position, guys not, freelancing. And then last year, all that kind of changed. And if that can get fixed, and I kind of feel like it will, with a coordinator that's got a track record of defenses not looking like last year's, then slightly improved run defense might be a part of that. But, again, like if you tell me the Bengals are going to have a run defense that's bottom third or bottom fourth of the league, do I still think this team's defense can be a major, major asset? Yes, for the reason you just outlined. Getting turnovers, stopping the deep ball, being better at getting to the quarterback. And again, like, there will be moments where it's going to be frustrating as hell. Hey, why is the other team always in 2nd and 3? Why are they giving up so much on first down? Why are they giving up, first down runs on 3rd and short? Stuff like that. But generally speaking, if the other stuff gets fixed and you tell me I have to live with a team that's not great against the run, I'll sign up right now.
No question. All right, let's do one quick thing here. We'll put ourselves on the record. Let's each draft 2 players that we think will have the highest PFF grade at season's end. We use that as a general ballparking of quality at season's end. For reference, last year we'll do minimum 400 snaps. So guys they have to get to that level of playing a bunch. Last year, that top 5 would have been Jordan Battle, Trey Hendrickson, DJ Reader, Mike Hilton, and BJ Hill. The year before, that would have been Trey Hendrickson, Jermaine Pratt, Jesse Bates, Mike Hilton, and Logan Wilson. And the year before that was Chidobe Awuzie, DJ Reader, Vonn Bell, Trey Hendrickson, and Mike Hilton. A few consistent names in there, which might tell you where maybe some of the targets would go. I'll let you kick it off and finish it, and I'll be the meat in the middle of this.
You tipped your hand. I mean, you're going to go to Cam Taylor-Britt, right? You've got to make in the Pro Bowl.
Well, you don't know that. No, maybe I'm trying to diversify more of my portfolio of takes. I want to make sure I've got a little here and a little there so I can end up being proven right.
Yeah, I think when I look at this from a PFF perspective, and I have looked at not just grades last year, but over the last couple of years, the 2 pictures of consistency have been Trey Hendrickson and Mike Hilton. And is Trey going to get 17 sacks again this year? Probably not. And maybe that's a good thing, because maybe it means they trust some of the other guys to play a little bit more and they're getting to the quarterback. But Trey's PFF grade over the last couple of years has been 82.3 and 82.5. A year older, I guess. Maybe a little bit more motivated because of the offseason weirdness, but I'm going to bet against Trey Hendrickson dipping below 80. No. So Trey's still my guy here. I'll say he is among the 2 top-rated defensive players when it comes to their end of season PFF grade.
Yeah. I think he's an obvious number 1 pick.
Yes.
I think he is the star that they have on defense without question. I would love to diversify. I'm gonna have a hard time passing on my other take because I think it would expose me. So I'm still gonna take Cam Taylor-Britt. I think his star turn is coming. I think he has a really good year. Corners sometimes have a hard time though posting a big number. Chidobe Awuzie did a few years ago, but that can be a hard one because there's a lot of plays where you get dinged and a lot of times it's confusion over who was really responsible and things like that. I'm still going to go with it. I'll go with Cam Taylor-Britt. And I was close on my second one here. I'm going to go with Sheldon Rankins. I think he's going to be disruptive. I think he's a proven commodity pass rusher. Now, the question to me is, how far over those 400 snaps does he go? And this has been my concern with Sheldon Rankins the entire time, is them overusing him. If they don't overuse him, I think his number will be high because you'll be getting the most out of each of those snaps. And I think he'll get a bunch of pressures. And he has done that in his career, and I certainly think that he can do that again. So I'm going to go with Sheldon Rankins, but I had him close with I had him neck and neck for me with Logan Wilson, who I think is going to have a really nice bounce back year and play really well at that linebacker position with just a little bit more consistency around him, and he'll have some opportunity too. So that was my other guy that I was going to latch on to, but I'll go ahead and go with Cam Taylor-Britt and Sheldon Rankins for my top of the grade.
Yeah, when I was doing this, and I looked up a lot of 2023 PFF grades, and for the benefit of our audience to provide context, I'm not sure if you mentioned this. Cam Taylor-Britt's PFF grade last year was 64.5, and over the course of so many years, just using PFF as a guide, it's always interesting to me on Monday or Tuesday after a game where I'll think a corner played really well and the grade doesn't match it. There was a game years ago where one of Darqueze Denard's 4 really good games where he played his face off. And I'm like, wow, Darqueze Denard was awesome. And PFF gave him like a 42. So,
yeah.
And I get it. Like I respect the hell out of what those folks do, but sometimes the grade doesn't mesh with what you saw a corner do over the course of the game because they ding them for one play. Right. So, so for that reason, I was a little bit hesitant with any corner. Also, like if Cam, and I think we all expect Cam to have a really good season, but from a PFF perspective, I would wonder how many times, if he's going to be if he's going to have the highest PFF grade, his grade's going to have to go from the mid 60s to the mid 80s. How often does that happen year to year? I don't know. Maybe it happens all the time. Seems to me like that doesn't happen all that often. So then Mike Hilton, picture of consistency, 77.4 last year. That's kind of where he's been in that ballpark since he got to Cincinnati. But at that position, is that going to turn into mid 80s? So I'm going to go Geno Stone, who is in the perfect position, entering the prime of his career. He's working alongside Vonn Bell. He's working in a defense where if you're a high end safety, Lou Anarumo is going to figure out a way to get the most out of what you do. 72.2 last year doesn't strike me as unreasonable to think that he could push that close to 80. And if that's the case, I think he's got a shot. So I'm going to go Geno Stone. We keep calling him an ascending player, which means he's not a finished product, which means he can continue to get better. If that's the case, I think it's fair to think about his grade being high enough to maybe be the highest on the defense.
Yeah, I find him to be this is the interesting. Here's the interesting conversation about this defense, and it's like the one we've been having about them for so long. You could pick any of these guys.
Yeah,
like any of these guys could be at the top or the bottom.
Yeah,
so many of these guys could be the reason that they struggle. Or could be, somebody that you end up saying, oh, look, they ended up with the second or third highest grade.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot, like Mike Hilton, Trey Hendrickson, where you go, okay, those have been good players for a while. When's there a drop off, right? I mean, it's fair to wonder, but there's also a lot of guys across the defense. There are players who are young enough, like Logan Wilson, that you go, you know what, last year was an outlier. With a little bit better structure around him, we've seen what Logan Wilson can do. He's going to have a bounce back year. There's also younger guys, Miles Murphy and Cam Taylor-Britt and Dax Hill that you go, okay, they take major steps forward this year. But to me, like I've the last 3 years, for as good as the individual talent has been, and they've obviously had some terrific players on defense. We all know who they are. When I think of these units, when I think of 21 and 22, I don't think of an individual player. I just think of really well put together, cohesive, well coached, fundamentally sound units. And if that's what this bunch is, it's the what is the term? The sum is going to be greater than the, I don't know. I went to public school. They're going to have a really good defense, and we're not going to care what the PFF grades are. But within this defense, you do certainly see some guys who are capable of having some really good individual seasons. Did that make any?
The whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
The whole is greater. I always screw that up, and I'm not even sure I know what it means. But when I hear it, I go, "That's pretty smart. That sounds good. I'm going to steal it." And then when I go to steal it, I screw it up.
Yes. If you added them all up as individuals, it would not be as much as them together collectively as a group.
Yeah.
That's it. But I like what did you have? We had a topic where we kind of covered it on the thing that we're concerned about. Did you have anything else that you were concerned about besides the run defense at the top of that list? If you were something that's keep kind of making you nervous, so to speak, about this defense. Is there anything else?
I don't know if it's. I think we expect the Bengals to have a more complete pass rush, but there are still a lot of what ifs there, right?
Yeah. No. Absolutely.
They're like, okay. I watched Sheldon Rankins against the Bengals last year and thought, like, holy hell, So if that guy shows up, awesome. If Sam Hubbard's healthy for an entire season, awesome. Like we expect the pass rush to be better, but there's still like a lot of ifs. When it comes to that, but you and I talked about this kind of in the dead period of the offseason. I think the cool thing about the Bengals defense is across the board, if they're a league average in nearly every metric, that's probably going to be good enough.
Yep.
if they're league, this unit, we needed to get better. And it's not like the defense hasn't carried the team before, because we all remembered the Super Bowl run. But if this unit is league average across the board, better in the red zone, and not awful at giving up the deep ball, this team's going to be fine. And I think that's a really kind of fun place to start, right? Like, we expect this team's defense to be kind of middle of the pack, but we understand there's some individual players who might even be better than that. And I think that's a lot of fun to think about. But sure, are they really going to get after the passer the way they're going to need to? And if things are a little clunky on offense early in the season when they go to Kansas City, can they get off the field? Can they get stops? And can they lift this team to a road win at Arrowhead Stadium? Because I think we're allowing for the possibility that maybe week 1 or 2, as we've seen in the past, maybe the offense isn't quite where we all want it to be.
The makeup and the path of this team to the Super Bowl is a top 3 offense and a solid defense.
Right.
That is the path.
Doable.
That is the construction. That's what that is it. And if one can be better to make up for the other, or vice versa, then so be it. But that is how they're constructed to be carried. And that's the way that teams that make it to the Super Bowl are constructed. You just have to have a certain level of defense. You can't be a total disaster there. And you need an elite offense, specifically an elite passing game. And that's what it is. On that note, but put yourself down on the record. Final points per drive ranking prediction for this team when it's all said and done.
You go first.
I'll say 13th.
13th, middle of the pack.
13th. I think slightly above average, middle of the pack. They're going to have their moments where it's not great, but I think they will be something that they've always been. They'll still be solid in the red zone. They'll force field goals. They won't be out here getting. I don't think they're going to get boat raced. They'll be playing from ahead a decent amount. I don't love the offenses that they go against, so I think that they'll be helped there. I don't think that they're great.
Yeah.
But I think that when it's all said and done, and that should be, they would be happy with that. they probably say they want it to be better. Vonn Bell says he thinks by before he leaves here they'll be top 5, and that's fine. I would expect them to say things like that.
Sure.
If I'm trying to predict, if I'm trying to be right, and I'm trying not to be exposed for my failures in January, I'm going to say 13th in points per drive when it's all said.
So they were, and I screwed this up because you mentioned points per drive, and I, like an idiot, I looked up last year's points per play, which is why I was scrambling there a little bit. So as bad as things were last year, and points per drive is a better metric than points per play, and I don't know why I looked that up, but they were 15th in points per play.
Mm-hmm.
Bad as they were last year, right? 15th
Yeah.
in points per play. So I said 12th. Because I
look at us.
because I screwed up the assignment, and I, like an idiot this morning, looked up points per play, and as you said it, I'm like, anyway, and I'm sure where were they in points per drive last year?
They were in the back quarter.
Back quarter, okay. So I went points per play, which was stupid, but yeah, you know what? I'll drop that 2 spots to 14.
I just think that's fair. I think that's if you're trying to be realistic about who they are and where they are, I think that's a fair assessment. All right. Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground here. We done something.
I sat. You sent me notes this morning, and I'm like, I'm going to be all prepared, and I look up the wrong dope. But anyway, yeah, I think the Bengals defense.
It's all good.
It's
all good. I mean, it's a team that they could be 5th, they could be 26th, and both of those are on the table. Like, yeah. I just, because we saw what we saw last year. There's a lot of questions and projection happening in a lot of different places, but I also think a lot of that projection is highly invested in monetarily, draft capital, people that you should have high expectations for, that should be expected, that have arrows pointing up, but aren't all the way fulfilled. And it's such a make or break year for so many players on this defense that you're betting on upward arrows, that it's just going to be a really interesting group to watch how they coalesce. The good news is what we've seen thus far. In camp and in the preseason.
It's not like how the Reds have tried to fill out their roster during the season, that there's no Mike Ford, meaning like there's a really nice mix of established players, good established players, early draft choices, good free agents from other teams that weren't like bargain basement guys. I mean, like it's a really nice combination of different types of players. Like, you might go, okay, well, maybe Vonn Bell's best years are behind him, but he's Vonn Bell in a system where he has thrived, right? And then, okay, there's a lot of young guys at corner, but not like, well, here's a guy who was an undrafted free agent. I mean, Dax Hill was a first-round pick. DJ Turner was an early pick. I mean, these were guys who were drafted early by the Bengals with the idea, and Dax obviously at a different position, but that they were gonna play to that level. Even the areas where they have to get better. I mean, have Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt earned the benefit of the doubt that would suggest it's worth believing that they can have a bounce back season this year? I think the answer is yes. They've got a guy who's one of the best at his position in Trey Hendrickson, coming off an awesome season. Like, there are a lot of question marks, but the answers, at least now, are being provided by players with track records here, players with track records elsewhere, ascending players, early round draft choices. Like, that's a really nice place to be. If you ask most defensive coordinators who are trying to fix a bad defense from a year ago, and you said, here are the type of players you're going to have to fix the defense with, I think most would say, sign me up for that, right?
Yeah.
There's not, they say what you want about how the Bengals are run. They haven't cut corners with that side of the football. They've invested draft picks. They've invested in free agency. They've gotten players who seem to have a lot of good football left in them. Like, that's pretty good. I mean, Lou Anarumo is in a pretty envious position, I think, if you compare him to a lot of people in the same role who have to fix a bad unit from last year. So I think there's a lot of reason to be encouraged, but you're right. It does it's accompanied by questions that you go, okay, what's the low end of this? And the low end of it is pretty bad. But I trust this coordinator. You've mentioned the schedule a couple of different times. It's pretty damn favorable, especially early. And I'll side with players who have a track record who don't yet seem to be past their prime. And I think this defense can be okay, even if I didn't look up the correct metric.
Yeah. Well, Mo, I certainly appreciate your time and all the effort you did put into today's show. Even the ones that you looked at the wrong metric, I don't care. It's still it's the effort that counts.
I was in the weeds with this Pro Football Focus stuff, which is which I
don't
like.
go too deep.
No,
yes, I like it.
Which I like, and then at the end I had to do points per drive, and I just idiot.
All good. Mo, I certainly appreciate your time. I want to thank everybody for listening. Don't forget to come down to our show on Thursday, 4:00 at BetMGM Sportsbook. Nation Kitchen and Bar will be down there doing our pregame show and having a great time and giving stuff away. But for now, enjoy my conversation with Jay about the joint practice. It's going to tack on, and then we'll talk to you after the game. Have a good one, everybody.